Well, when I found out that man does those kind of things, I, as a kid, looking up at the stars laying on a blanket in the summertime, I go, boy, everything's like a paradise. Well, it's not, because these people are wanting to fight for some reason. 7 million Jews, I think they killed, huh? Put in a furnace. Now, isn't that something? Another human burning other humans? Put your jewelry in that pile. They had showed big piles of jewelry and stuff where these people take our jewelry out and now walk into the gas chamber. And then they burn them in the furnace. But it's just a nasty thing to think about sometimes, drinking a beer and somebody says, you know, Hitler. I think of the smashed head. The tank ran over his head. Well, a human's head, I found out, is great big when it's smashed. It gets like this. You know, just squashed it out. It's like stepping on a mouse and the guts fly, you know?
Yeah.
Well, those are the most ugliest, seemingly, to me, that was, to see a man's head crushed, you know? They get off on a tangent, like Hitler did, with his mind, like, I'm going to take all these countries over. Once in a while you find a thug like that does that and convinces the people to be behind him. Now, how they get that job done is clever, but that's the way it is. And you just don't know how they can really get that done, see? To get all the people to fight these other countries around them and think they're going to win and dominate them. They were living peaceful before, but see, they want domination over others for some reason. And when these politicians do that, you got to watch them, because see, you could have one in your crowd up there wanting to do that. It's a mental thing, I think, with them, that they get a big kick on it doing it. And then when they get deep enough into it, they can't back out. See what I mean? Because they've trapped themselves. Now they're on top of it. People think, well, we're looking at you to do the next thing. Now they're trapped. They got to do it. They got to keep going. So the human so far has not created a path to a paradise at all, because he doesn't seem to want it. He wants trouble. I always thought I could take care of it man to man, but something that's coming at you that you don't know where it's going to land is a terrible feeling. You know, it's like putting salt and pepper on a table or something and missing a spot. Or sometimes you can't make it to a low spot. You just got to lay on the ground and say, hope they don't hit me. You know? In fact, I was in one time where they almost got me. They half mooned it out on top, but I had it dug 4 foot deep. But my ears rang for a month.
Oh, really?
Because it almost sucks your lungs out when it hits that close to you, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And it almost got my ear. The concussion. Yeah. Had my boots sitting up there and they were just shreds.
Really?
Yeah. There was dead ones laying in the ditch on both sides and the smell was terrible. He threw this white phosphorus down it, they call it, and if it hits you, it just keeps burning into you. And a lot of them would burn up, see. And this odor of burnt human flesh never did leave me. And I do remember his screaming.
Yeah.
And I knew it was that bad because it was not him screaming, it was nature screaming.
Yeah.
It was different sound. Yeah. Because it's still a memory. It sticks with you too long, see? Finally you get into that you forgot home and it don't feel like home anymore. You know what I mean? Yeah, you can be away that long that it don't feel like home anymore. In fact, when I got home, it wasn't home anymore because they'd remodeled the house and things were different. Girls were smoking cigarettes. See, before that they didn't smoke. The girls, meaning. So it was a different thing. You take 3 years out of young people's lives when they're a teenager, and that's a big deal. Well, I had hot cheeks, I'm telling you. And it was messing me up. I would call it an anxiety of some kind. You know, anxiety of some kind, like, oh, am I going to die next? And finally I said to myself, look, this is my friggin' job, and I'm going to do it. And that's because I've been becoming seasoned, you see?
Yeah.
Yeah. And as a kid, of course, you know, I never saw anything like this, and these are terrible, vicious things to look at. And that's why I don't go to funerals, to see somebody laying in a casket. I'm way past that. I want to see him in movement, you know, and remember him that way, instead of in a box. I don't want to have those memories. See, that's like the head deal I told you about. Well, the funeral to me, seeing them in the casket. Oh, don't she look nice? Who looks nice laying in the caskets, you know? And I was in an outfit with 36-year-olds and even a 38-year-old because they were in the Texas National Guard, and when the war started, they made them a division, mobilized them. They made into a division from Austin, Dallas, Waco, Texas, all those big cities, Houston. Well, then they come together as a division, and I was a replacement in that division. That's how I got there.
How old were you when you started?
Well, they took me in when I was 18, and then from there, 3 months in basic training, and then overseas you go.
Oh, yeah. So you were 18?
Yeah. Now, if I'd have went to the aid station, I could have had a Purple Heart for that. But it's a hot spot, and I'm not going anywhere. I'm keeping my Jeep, and I'm working with it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I was pushed into it. Why, sure. I didn't volunteer for it. But we do have to protect our freedom. And that's what I was there for, I guess. You know? Mm-hmm. And I'm glad to get back. But they found out they couldn't dominate because there's good people that'll come after them. And we did. And every generation, talking about age groups, like your sons, you know, take their turn if it happens in their time. See what I mean? Mm-hmm. They have to do it too. The first sergeant said, "Shelley, blow the damn thing up." He said, and Shelley said, "Run that house." And the first sergeant said, "So be it." He said, "Blow it up." He said, "Don't try to disarm it." So Shelley went to this mine and decided to save the damn house and to disarm it. But they had it tricked that if you tried to disarm it, it would blow up. Well, he died right there. It blew him down. Guts flew all over the place. He didn't know what hit him, of course. And the war was over. And I remembered that episode too because the war was over. You know, it wasn't even fighting. We should have blew the damn thing up. Yeah, I can draw you a picture of the house.
Mm-hmm. You still remember the house even?
Yeah, kind of looked like my dad's house. It's a team job. You know, you work as a team. Yeah. And the fellas that's limping a little, you know who they are, and you help them get through it all too. Yeah. It's just like if you go to a tavern and pick out a dozen. That's what you get in the service, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. A dozen is a dozen. Yeah. So you got to work with each other then from there on. Yeah. Now, you're in with everybody. Well, here's another thing I found. At 18 years old, you don't know who you really are. You're just knowing you know. And you live with around people. Well, when you get in the service, you find that I was more of a leader than I thought. You know, because some of them are really stupid asses. Yeah. You know, they don't know how to conduct themselves on let's say on a patrol or what have you. They don't know how to be quiet and all that. And then you get more experienced at it. That's why they talk about seasoned troops and non-seasoned troops. Green troops are tough because they don't really know the score. And they can have many more casualties like that because they don't know how to conduct themselves, you see, until they get seasoned. They're still kids, some of them. They haven't really come to maturity. I think I matured faster than most because I was a self-little-made guy, you know? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could build a doghouse. I had a clubhouse and all that. You know?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, some people don't have that mechanics in them. And I'm glad to have good math. I think math is a great subject for your kids because you can use it everywhere in the world. You know, you can use it in the grocery store. You can use it when you're fixing your car. You know, you got to use this math. So, and I'm that type. I wasn't the type to love books and stuff. You see, I was more of a mechanic, nature mechanic stuff. I like building something, fixing something. Yeah, you know, that's me. Yeah. I don't like to write letters. No way. Yeah. I can't spell too good, you know. Yeah. But I feel like I'm smart. Smart in my area. in which I realized I stay there. Yeah. Now they got to feed us on the road. You know, we've been traveling to go to England, and then from England we to come home. Well, that's what I did. The rest of them didn't. You go through an eating line, and this line was, the kitchen was supported by POWs, prisoners of war, Germans. Well, somebody laced the bread pudding with cyanide to kill a bunch of us. But see, I don't like bread pudding. There was 6 of us that didn't eat the bread pudding.
How many were there that did?
180 minus 6. The rest of them, eyes rolling back. In fact, I helped load them onto these trucks, 3 and 4 deep, just to get them out to the hospital. And nothing was ever mentioned about it after that.
Really?
They probably all died from eating that bread pudding.
And that fast, it reacted that
fast.
I wanted
fast.
to hear that. They all died that ate it?
I bet they all died, but I don't know that because
Nothing
they
was
shipped me
said?
right out then, you know, to another outfit.
So why did you not eat the pudding? You just didn't want
I never did like bread pudding at home.
Was it stale bread?
Because stale bread, it was a big shame about that because it never came out in flyers or nothing. See, the Army covered that up because they shouldn't have had these PWs, prisoners of war, feeding us. But you can be reminded of them, but nobody else is doing it, and then damn it, you got to think about it. And that's the ugly part, maybe. So be ready for accidents to make them more clever for you to deal with. Prevention, I call it. You know what I mean? Have the tools ready. Okay. If you go to a picnic, rub them up with this and that so they don't get bit by the spider, etc. Because that's war too. Yeah. Well, you know a lot, and you're going to know a lot more because every year we move through life, I think, you can add to your score. You know? How good are you? Or have you just been slipping at stuff and not caring? See, so take it all in because someday you might use one of them. Here or there, you know?
Yeah.
And for helping somebody else. And I have helped other people. Yeah. Okay. But live nice and open and don't think about the bad stuff. Think about the good stuff. And when you come up against a negative, make a positive out of it as soon as possible. See what I mean? Yeah, even though it hurts at the time. Like, oh, the dog ate the couch.
Yeah.
Okay, it's over with. It's done and let's get another couch, you know? Yeah. Correct the dog. And that's what it's got to be like. Have fun with life, in other words, on the positive sides because it's so much better. Stay away from the bull crap, you know? Or the people that causing it too. Don't run around with a crowd like that. Oh yeah, some of these little gangs, they get together in the neighborhood, you know? And you'll have to watch your children for that. To not get into one of those kind of traps and follow bad sides, you know? I don't know what we're talking about. Finally, we're cut this.
Oh, thanks, Grandpa,
Okay.
so much.
Oh, don't do that. Yeah.
Love you. Love you so much.